All right, welcome to the Bitcoin Design Guide Jam session number 68. As usual, well, thanks for coming on this lovely Monday. As usual, we have our notes document, which doesn't really need to contain that much because we have PRs on GitHub and issues on GitHub. We don't need to repeat everything in this notes document, but I put a couple of things in there. On the weekend, there was a discussion around address poisoning attacks. And then are you excited about address poisoning attacks? Then I also wanted to note that Michael and Daniel put the BDG wallet version on test flight. Just highlight that. And then I was wondering if we had any takeaways from your mutiny call and if there's anything that should go into the guide potentially. So those were just some general discussion topics that I thought could be interesting. And then there's several PRs as well. What would you like to chat about, or what's on your mind?
Could we maybe add the Bitcoin Core app case study as well? I think that is already an open PR, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we just have the regular list of PRs that we can go over.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Outside of my two PRs, I have nothing new yet, but hopefully we'll have something by next week, the third chapter.
Okay. Should we just go over PRs real quick?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let's start top to bottom. Michael, well, how about we just start with both of yours? So you have the wallet reference design part 1 and part 2. So what do you need? What's up?
Exactly. So for part 1, I think I have addressed all the feedback that I got so far from you, Christoph, from Mo, and from Yashraj. And from my perspective, it's kind of good to go. And then at the end of last week, I opened the PR that kind of builds upon that, which is about backups. It's just one page, a small thing, a relatively small one, but that would be more for kind of the initial round of feedback. I'm sure there will be stuff to tweak there as well. But until then, I'm just gonna, in parallel, keep working on the upcoming, the third page about kind of doing replacing signing keys and stuff like that. So it's not kind of ultra urgent, but it's, these two PRs are kind of, from my side, I think it's in the phase where I need some feedback again. And also about, for instance, in these illustrations that are behind Christoph, whether they make sense, whether in general the setup contains this backup distribution contains any kind of logical flaws, stuff like that. It's more, this page this page does not have that much UI stuff, more text and an example for a recovery PDF document, which we might also reuse in the backups page, where we will talk about multisig wallet descriptors and backup files. So after publishing this part, I think we have an issue out for the backup page as well. So I probably tackle then that one.
Awesome. Yeah, one question while we're looking at it. So it says here like Sparrow savings wallet.mv.db. What do you mean by that? What is that?
Got a red bar, maybe connection issue.
Yeah, I was out.
Okay.
I was out. Sorry.
Oh, I was just wondering. Looks great. The toughest part to review, or is probably what I assume is in the backup kit content, and the savings wallet.mv.db, is that like some special format that only Sparrow or uses, or
Yeah, so when you I went through, these different formats that, or these different files that you can generate from Sparrow Wallet, because that's the most complete.
Mhm.
And there are basically three different files that you can, or file types. You can have a JSON type, text type, and kind of um, this Sparrow specific type of
Mhm.
MVDB, which I don't really know what it is in general, but these files are kind of, when you open them, it opens the respective application, and you can easily import them to whatever application you use.
Mhm.
So it might also be an idea to just simplify it even more, and just say you have this recovery PDF, which is at the top left in this image, and then just kind of a placeholder for multiple file types.
Mhm.
So that's also, but the idea was kind of to give the idea that you can actually import things into any
Yeah.
compatible wallet software. So that was the idea, but it might be too much.
No, I think it's fine. What would be helpful though is if you have links to, for example, if there's a documentation of this Sparrow file, that you just link
Hmm.
to it, and then it's very much easier
Hmm.
to verify. And they should probably could called be inheritance and not savings wallet. Yeah.
What would
Yeah.
just came to mind as well, I'm not very familiar too super familiar with this, but if someone glances very quickly at that, um, it's almost, yeah, thanks for bringing it back up again. It's the output descriptor, so it's like Bitcoin Core, Sparrow, Electrum. It would almost make more sense and be easier if it would be just one wallet name. So if you just had like Sparrow PDF, Sparrow DB, Sparrow.text, Sparrow.jsn.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
I was actually trying to figure out the graphic myself because I was like, what is this? Like I was trying to understand what it would convey, but I could understand it thanks to your explanation.
So if it would actually looks more like an actual folder where you have
Right.
file
Mm.
name instead of these blocks. Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
even do, as Christoph said, like a artificial image of a folder, and then within that folder could be called like Sparrow, and then in that all these subfolders of like .db, .text, .json, and so forth. It's just an idea, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Seems like Mo, you and I, we need to dig in here and give some proper feedback on the PR.
We do.
Let's do
And
that.
Michael, I saw in the design guide channel you posted that you were thinking of doing a reading session. So like I'm down for that. So if you want to do that as well, just feel free to set that up if you like.
Cool. Yeah, next week,
Yeah.
I'd say should be good.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, so that one's ready for feedback. First one, there was a lot of feedback and 81 comments. So with all that feedback and iteration, it's going to be awesome now. So it's up for more review basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
and to check whether the feedback has been properly addressed, and if yes, I think then we can publish it probably.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Anything else on your you wanted to talk about in your PRs?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay, let's keep going top to bottom. This is one I created. Replace regular space with a thin space in thousand. So so if you're familiar with typography, there's a regular space. There's stuff like an M dash, an N dash, and a thin space, which have slightly different lengths of things. So a thin space is 1/6 or so of a regular space. Um, let's find an example here. This one might work. So So here you can see an example of the difference between a regular space and a thin space. Right? It's just a little bit less spacing. So you still get a visual. Your eyes can still kind of say, okay, they're like separate chunks, right? But it's not so much that it feels disconnected. And the reason why they came up was a conversation with Jakub, and a thin space in the International System of Units is actually defined as a thousandths separator. Some countries use commas, some use periods, some use thin spaces. So yeah, there was just an update to this page to change everything to a thin space, like these little things here, and also add a link to the thin space. So that's it.
Yeah, I saw there were quite a lot of places where you had to replace these things. In the page, there were quite a few of them.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit torn on it because sometimes it really depends on the font. Sometimes the thin space is a little bit too thin for my taste, where especially when it's smaller, it's almost like a regular space would be visually easier.
Yeah, and it's also if it's if it's a monospace font, then I think it can make a lot of. But I mean, if it's a normal font, then it can defeat the point
Yeah.
maybe a bit,
For monospace,
especially
it
based
doesn't
on
make sense, right?
the font size.
Everything's the same. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, that should be a very easy one to review.
So does that one need to review that one that you just shared, Christoph?
Yeah,
Or-
I mean that will take 2 minutes. I think it's not it's kind of a formality. I think
Okay.
to review it. Nothing controversial there. Next PR is usability and footer. Remember Sven Pushman?
Mm-hmm.
I shared the join page in the open source design forum, and he gave all the super thorough feedback. He had a bunch of feedback on the site, and it was stuff like adding the Nostr logo to the footer. Some stuff like having links you visited before be a slightly different color. The search icon in the top right corner having a proper title tag. So it's just a bunch of small, mostly technical things, really.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Nostr and Bitcoin TV links. I did not change out the Twitter logo because I still refuse to the rebranding. But I don't know. Someone else can change it if they feel like strongly about it. So, but yeah, I think that's another one that's just tweaks, basically.
All right.
Then we have Bitcoin Core App case study. That one, that's in a really good place, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just needs hopefully close to final review and some tweaks. I think it's just a big thing is that everyone who chips in, who works on this project, kind of feels like it, I don't know, represents what they see in the project well, or feel like it's fairly comprehensively presented in the right light. I think that's an important thing. I also asked Harold and Ebasto, who kind of kicked this one off, basically kicked this project off in the first place, to give feedback. Haven't heard anything yet. Yeah, but otherwise it would be awesome to get this one live. Some old screenshots from, actually not so old, 2009, the first Bitcoin wallet, when there was no command line.
Mm-hmm.
Then version 0.5.2, that was the one rewritten in cute widgets. And then on the right, the version from last year. And this is what it's going to be like.
Yeah, that's nice. Is it at this stage just you've pinged Yarrow as well as Habasto? It feels like it's too soon for me to review it again because I feel like I've already seen this content. Is it useful for me to review again, or instead maybe just ping people if anyone else has been in the project. I'm just trying to think what would be more useful at this stage.
Yeah, I mean the two of us we did much of the work putting this together, so it's better if other people give
Yeah,
me yay or nay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So just think of who worked on the project and to just share it with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can be very specific. This is what it's about. This is what we're looking for, and make it very easy to
Yeah.
do that. Okay, the next one, page about human readable addresses. Stephen had some very thorough feedback. I think there are one or two or three updates that I need to do, but there was also some feedback that I didn't quite agree with. And yeah, there's some things that I'm waiting to hear back from him. Yeah, but I have I really need to wrap this one up.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow it's more controversial. Hard to get this one finalized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's it. That's it for the PRs. Anything you want to dig in, talk about?
I will, from my end, I'll review Michael's one, and I will also think about who I can ping for the Bitcoin Core app case study. I'm speaking with Jakob straight after this call, so I can ask him to have a look as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll have a look at the Bitcoin Core one after the call.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'll also take a look at the Bitcoin Core case study one. I had like a question about the human readable addresses. Do you guys? I mean, I have a feeling that it might be too early to have a page for that. What do you guys think about that?
I'm sorry. You said too early.
Yeah,
Why?
like everything is in the discussions and there is nothing finalized. I mean, so if let's say a developer or a builder, it's not like we have something that is agreed upon and has consensus, and so the devs or somebody is coming to Bitcoin design to see how they can show it or use it or things like that. Maybe so. That's why it's just a thought.
Yeah. So that's why this note is in here too. This is a new proposal for a bit. It is still being discussed.
Okay.
So there's a note specifically in there.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, I mean, so,
some other people brought that up too.
like I saw that there is disagreement about using the Bitcoin symbol itself. So Bitcoin symbol name at something. So if like even that is not like there is no consensus on that stuff, then that was just a thought, but nothing wrong with having a page about it, I guess.
Yeah, so that symbol somehow triggers people, but there was also some people who just didn't read the proposal thoroughly because that symbol is optional. So I had some conversation where people didn't realize that, and then they realized it later, and they're like, "Okay, I guess it's fine."
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't feel like there's there's much controversial there, specifically because this is optional, the symbol.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, Stephen had questions around the privacy aspects of this one, and whether, if let's say I use a third-party service to have this address, whether that's considered custodial. And I think there was confusion around the term custody. I think he was thinking about the funds being custodial, while I was just thinking the text is just about custody in a general sense of the term, that someone else manages this thing for you and controls it for you, which means it is in their custody.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I do see the point about the privacy risk. I think it's not just a privacy risk; it's also like a security risk because, like, the addresses that are being doled out and somebody hooks up this. human readable address, and if it's hosted by the third party could just give out their own address. There is no way for anybody to tell that this address belongs to Christoph if it's a
Yep.
third party. Yeah, and so, but I think I liked it where like you posted something about like in the Discord where you were talking about, hey, if I on the website I could always put it on there, and that should be safe enough, I guess.
Yeah, so I think in addition to that, we with Bolt 12 coming up too and silent payments, I feel like we have a larger edition or iteration of the guide to make where we all of a sudden have these static payment codes of different
Mm-hmm.
with different technologies that are all pretty new and not really rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems to be pretty much where everything's heading to right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the privacy aspect, all of this stuff will come in. So I think this page, human readable addresses, along with the static aspect of them,
Right.
payment
Okay. Yeah.
codes, those two things we'll have to spend some more time on, which is really cool. It's a huge UX upgrade.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I'll take a look at this page as well.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, what's next topic? What would you like to chat about?
Mutiny call, maybe? That one's a little bit fresh.
Did you have any specific takeaways?
No, not specifically. I think I would like to hear from the wallet builder how he experienced the call.
Mm-hmm.
I just reached out just to hear if there's any way we can improve the call or if there's anything that they enjoyed in particular. I would have to rewatch the call or transcribe the call to get the biggest takeaways. I think one of them is that we've had these calls in these design review calls in the community before, and it always feels like there's almost like there's two calls necessary because the first call is really just understanding the project. So it's almost half an hour that you can cut away just to understand the project and have the designer and the team go through, share their vision and that kind of thing. That's just a little bit of the takeaway. It's not a very sort of specific takeaway of content to add to the guide, but that's just a bit of a feeling.
And
Yeah.
getting to know the team a bit too.
Yeah.
Mm.
But that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, I feel like it's the usual takeaways, which is guiding people around which network to use, to the right networks, giving them a mental framework of when to use eCash, Lightning, on-chain.
Mm-hmm.
Then how to use it, how to think about it, the differences, all of this stuff. Then the so that's the mental, the onboarding stuff. Then how to manage that in the UI. If I want to send or want to receive, do I send from my Mint, my Fedi Mint, or from my Lightning, or from something else? And if I share an address, if I want to receive, what do I share, right? And if I share multiple things, will I get it in the right place and in the right way? And then also the same thing. Yeah, there's just a display of, they only have multiple balances. In this case, multiple Bitcoin balances, but in Eric's case, with eNuts, also stablecoin balances in addition to that. So I think those are kind of the patterns that I see very consistently across typical builder problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the balances on the home screen was a clear one. The balance within the federation versus the balance that's actually in their wallet.
And you couldn't add more than one federation, right?
I didn't try.
I tried and I didn't see an option to add a second one. So if I mean that's a question whether you should be able to kind of be part of multiple mints, then how to divide balances also between mints within the pediment balance, if and any. So it's but I should be able to be part of multiple mints, I guess. But just didn't see it or I didn't notice it.
Yeah, not sure about that one. Two other things just came to my mind: brand versus UX versus UI. That that you can be very specific about what you actually want to improve, because sometimes I think I got that sense a bit where the question was, what do you want to redo on onboarding, and then it feels like everything has to be changed, everything has to be redone, where you can just pin some things that you're not going to change. Like if you pin your UI and you just work on UX, that means you're not going to change what the buttons look like, or your text looks like, or your icons look like, or any of that stuff. You just change the text, the order of screens, not the branding. You don't touch any of that, right? You pin those other layers. You just work on that one. Or if you just do a UI restyling, you just work on your buttons and your drop downs and all stuff. But you don't touch the brand. You don't touch the UX, right? So I think that when with not desire or people are not so familiar with the design process, they sometimes feel like everything has to be touched. And splitting that up and breaking that down into really small bits and pieces makes it much more digestible. The whole process. Because like Paul said, they want like small chunks, small issues
All right.
to work on.
Would it be a nice logical step? I'm just thinking out loud for these reviews. Like, so we did the call, and then anything that we feel might really help the UI or the UX or any ideas we could just file an issue, but on their GitHub. Could that be just something that we could do? Or
This is really where every individual can decide if they want to be involved with the project.
yeah,
Everyone should be open to, right? These calls are an invite to contribute to the project. I would love to. I just don't have the time to.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But it would be great if someone did.
It would be a really nice follow up, like from all
Yeah.
of these calls, if we could just, hey, bye, Ashraj.
Ashraj.
I mean, I'm suggesting it and I'm full of good ideas, and whether I have the time to carry through these ideas, exactly what you said. But that would be just a nice sort of follow through, because I know these conversations can get forgotten so easily. Yeah, especially if the repo, if it's an open source wallet and the repo is open for filing, it's very easy to do,
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that Chris will maybe he's listening to this call later. Hey, Chris, if you're watching the video, you should contribute to Mutiny.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I would love to kind of observe and maybe chip in just a little bit here and there, but I cannot take on anything more than that. I would love to see that whole pirate brand fleshed out a bit further, and then some of these things trickle into the onboarding and have these revisions of the copy and all of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, another way would be to pick up one of the first things that you did was a design sprint to really focus, get a bunch of people to just focus on for 2-3 weeks on one project.
Yeah.
And then just really try to make a difference there, and then find lots of individual issues that can help move things forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another initiative that requires rallying and organizing and all that.
Time commitment as well, yeah. 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 I just, shoot out good ideas, but it's not necessarily have time for those ideas. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a
started
cool
working on the Noster. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that Mutiny is a cool combo of technologies with this social first approach. Love to see it
Yeah,
flourish.
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I've kind of commented to the Frost part. So apart from the design guide, kind of wrapping up the stuff from my first grant, and Frost and the presentation for Prague and the Hack Day, I think that's about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We need more designers doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Different. That's a totally different thing. All right. Anything else on Mutiny?
No.
Go Mutant. Uh, okay, cool. Let's. How about this address poisoning attack stuff? Are you familiar with what it is?
No.
No.
Okay, so someone lost $68 million worth of Bitcoin on Ethereum. This is wrapped Bitcoin, so custodial Bitcoin transported to another blockchain. And they sent it to an address they don't own. The problem is let's click through here. Okay. So this person, this victim, this address here, they're like, cool, I'm going to send $70 million worth of Bitcoin to another address I own. So they make a test transaction where they send a really small amount. And then they make sure that, okay, it arrives. Like they check the other wallet, they check, okay, it's there. Cool. And then they want to send the real amount. But then in the meantime, 3 minutes later, after they made this initial transaction, someone else sends them a tiny little amount with an address that has the same beginning and the same ending, and it's just different in the middle. Right? So if your address is displayed shortened, you cannot tell the difference. They look the same. So this victim, they're like, cool, it worked out. I'm just going to take the last address used in my wallet. I'm going to send my $70 million worth of stuff there. And then, whoops, it goes to the wrong address. So that is a address poisoning attack, where you generate an address that starts and ends the same way as something someone uses, and you sneak it into their wallet by sending them something, and then they accidentally use it. And that's what happened. So you can so it's somewhere down here in all of these transactions. You can here I think it's these three, maybe somewhere here, and then people reported it right away, but you can't get the money back. That's basically it. So so the reason, and then Connor pinged me on or pinged Bitcoin Design on Twitter. And then Sunday morning, I just took a look at it and I mocked up something real quick, because I feel like it's a very simple thing. Like a wallet can just say, well, you're trying to send to the address, but check it out. You have another address that actually looks almost the same, which is an obvious sign, like for a red flag. And then the second red flag is that this address just sent you something for a tiny little amount out of the blue. Right? That's also a second red flag. The wallet can just say, we're not going to let you send this until you really double check and verify all the different parts of the address. Especially, like, wallets should do that anyways when you try to send 70 million. If you send 10 sats, then not a big loss. But I don't understand why wallets just let you. Why is it even a single sig address, right? Like, these are huge sums of money. Like, wallets should really just be really intense about ensuring you do things right.
But I don't know. It's also, I feel like this is one part to it, like this, what you design, but there's also the education part. Like, I think the user interface can warn, and I think this is a very good solution. But personally, even when I'm sending myself Bitcoin, I'm going through, like, from my hardware wallet to like an on-chain wallet, I will check the address 2 times in the whole transaction. So I'll read it one time and like, okay, now it's good. then before the final transaction, then I'll read all the string of letters again. Like, I don't know. Like, I think this is good practice, but it just, if I was sending that much of money, I would check it like 6 times even.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
I mean, you could say it's carelessness, right? And they earned it, whatever, it's their fault. But on the other hand, that's still not cool. I feel like wallets should pick this type of stuff up
They
because
should.
it's totally unexpected, and
Right.
it could have something similar could happen or so.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can implement this in Bitcoin Core app or so. So I was wondering if we should actually put here in the glossary on the address page. So here's another interesting thing. So Peter Todd and some other people, they started a discussion how we messed up the batch 32 address format when you didn't include group separators. So he said that the address format itself should include these dashes. Which I'm like, yeah, I guess that's one option, but why can't wallets just show this stuff to people and explain it in clear text? Right? Does that really solve it? So I don't know. I think that's an interesting, like, this is kind of a protocol level approach, where what I was looking at was a UI level approach, where the UI is explicit and the protocol level is I don't know, something else, not explicit. Implicit.
Yeah, in Trezor Suite they chunk the addresses into they put separators in between after every fourth character.
Yeah.
And it makes it much easier to read, especially on these little hardware device screens.
I feel like there could even be one more additional step. I don't know what is deemed a high amount of transaction, like a big amount, but if X amount is sent by the wallet, then the wallet could have also, so what Christoph had, but then also just something saying, just like you have the reminder, just saying like, have you checked the letters? Have you checked every single letter in the address at least 2 times before confirming this transaction? Thing is people are in a rush. They're not going to read it. They're not going to do it. But still, yeah. But I think it is true. The UI needs to help prevent making mistakes.
Yeah, Michael, one of the thing with space is something that Peter here also points out, is that if you have command line tools or so and you select something and copy paste, there's some tools where that just doesn't work. It can messes up copy paste potentially. That's what
they
kind of
don't.
one of his points. But I don't think if you select it, if the computer defines what is copied and not if you select the text and copy paste, then it's a different thing. But yeah, that was just one of his things that he pointed out. I don't think it's a fundamental one.
The copy pasting is without the spaces. It's just a display of the address, because you have kind of this in the Trezor Suite. You have this screen where you should check on your computer versus what's on your hardware wallet, but in the address field where you paste it in, it's without any spaces. It's just normal thing. It's just kind of then a visual representation of how it works. So I guess that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, it's definitely, and it could also mean maybe that the trigger for such a one of these warnings would be kind of a relative amount, not an absolute amount. But say if you want to send more than 10 or 50% of the funds that are in your wallet, then you trigger one of these. Then you trigger one of these messages that you should acknowledge and double check.
Yeah, we also had Sjoros post this screen share from the Bitcoin Design Guide where Peter said that's horrendously ugly.
Yeah, I mean that's
right.
Objective. Everything is.
I was just reading something online in terms of error prevention. This is a very big error, but it just said that to backtrack on what I said, even if you put a bit of education, like saying, hey, review your address, we live in an age of information overload. So there's a very high likelihood that that person is not going to read that educational bit of text that you add into the UI. They're just going to click past it because they just want to send the transaction. So if it's built into the design that it really prevents them from making the mistake, that would be a better solution.
Yeah, if someone wants to shoot themselves in the foot, they're going to find a way.
Right.
That's fine, but at least put things, and so it's very, very clear. So it's like you can't tell me that I didn't warn you, type of deal. I mean, the other thing, just like with recovery phrases, is make them redo it. Type
Yeah.
something in.
Yeah, exactly.
Type the third and the seventh character or something, or show them one chunk at a time and make them smuggle in a chunk that's incorrect,
That's
and then
another.
see if they. I don't know, when it comes to 70 million, I feel like you can get pretty aggressive. Make sure people.
You can get very
discover-
aggressive with 70 million. You can
Yeah.
you can definitely do at least 3 checks in that one.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
this is the type of amount that I don't know who sends that, right? There might be some people at exchanges who manage cold storage or something like that. And if they
Yeah.
have a security team, if they're CEOs and whatnot, I would assume that just like there are very many other security practices where the enterprises, they lock down computers, they have their own VPNs and all this stuff. It's very aggressive what they make people do to enforce good security practices. So I feel like depends on the context. I think it's very reasonable to
Yeah.
to not even allow this to be on a single SIG wallet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That shouldn't that should not have been on a single SIM wallet.
I mean,
Right.
we don't actually know if it is or not, right? We can't
Right.
really tell that. And vaults would help with that too, where you can there's a timer where you can kind of cancel it.
Right.
So is that something you think we should add to the maybe here also in the address page around what's
Yes.
it called?
Poisoning attacks.
Address poisoning attacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I think this is a good one.
I'll just put in a yes here in the notes. That's crazy what people do, what they come up with.
Yeah, but it was just a small amount, a small portion of my stack. So
Okay. Well, thanks. I'm going to use it well.
Nice.
Your educational donation.
Exactly. I mean the design foundation will be will be safe for a couple of years.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, what are they going to do? This address was instantly flagged as being part of this attack, so no exchange will allow them to do anything with it. And the funds that they stole were in wrapped Bitcoin, which I think can also be frozen because it's controlled by BitPay. I don't know, some company, whoever is a custodian for wrapped Bitcoin. So I don't know
You
what
can probably still get some ransom for it because losing 70 million is a lot of money, and it might be worth like 5-10 million to get it back. So
yeah, you can actually look at that as well. Let's see. Big phishing. Yeah, I don't know where was this sent. So there's some messaging thing, and I don't know where you find it now, but there was a thing they actually sent message that said if you return 90%, you can keep 10%.
Right. Something that standard, I don't remember where I saw it, but it was a practice that I've seen here with the government, and this is even just for logging into your government files, like seeing your taxes that you need to pay. they will ask you to verify with a phone SMS, like that it's you,
Two-channel
like just to
authentication.
double check. So something even like a phone verification SMS could also be an option. But
Yeah, that's not a Bitcoin thing. That's not gonna
no,
happen
yeah,
here. That's where you have a hardware wallet or a second device or so. That's what multi-sig is for.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we can add something around that to the guide.
yeah. That's a good one.
Definitely a fringe thing, but this still feels like it's timely. Something we can add. Not too much hassle.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. So we have about 10 minutes left or so. How's everyone feeling about the guide these days? Eric, how's it? How are things?
Yeah, it's moving. I have a branch. I actually want to ask Michael how he like does the live preview deployment. Because I would like to do that.
Oh, it should automatically do that. So if you're in a PR, it should plop this little
Okay.
block in here, and then you have this deploy preview. I think you have to be logged in to see it. Um, and then a really good practice is so that link will take you to the landing page, and then find whatever page you're working on, and then add it into the description at the top. So that way, anyone who reviews it, they don't have to dig around through preview links and figure out what the thing was that you actually edited. They can just click and see it.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think I've
Yeah,
been doing that. I've been like duplicating like existing like introduction and overview files and just editing them, but I haven't formally pushed a PR. It's just been in a branch that's sitting on my repo.
You can also do a draft PR if you don't wanna invite open feedback by anyone, but just have something to mess with. And yeah, and I think you only get a preview when you actually create a PR, a draft
Okay.
PR or a regular PR. A branch will not do it. So yeah, just create a draft
yeah,
whenever you're comfortable.
yeah. To get the preview link, you have to push the PR or a draft PR. Otherwise, I mean, other people could just go into the branch and kind of build it themselves to see. But
Can I?
yeah,
Oh, sorry. I was gonna ask if you push the draft PR and then you make changes and then you sync, will it update or do I have to open up a new draft PR?
Automatically updates with every commit.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I should just do that. And if it's clearly labeled draft PR, then people should know it's a working file. I'm not sure what's the best practice. Is draft PR more like um, let's review this together? Not sure.
No, I mean it's not ready for review. It's up there, and
Okay.
you maybe want to talk to someone about it or see what it looks like or so. But yeah, and anyone can basically ignore it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll probably just clean it up a little bit. I'm still kind of working through the copy, and yeah, I should have a draft PR up there pretty soon. Then.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know if you want me to look at anything. And what specifically is it for?
eCash on Bitcoin, and let me look at the overview to get like an idea of like what I'm going to cover. Just like a 101 on the two like major implementations, Cash
Mhm.
Betterment, then like some best practices and like ideas, like core concepts, like how to display, best things to display when displaying a mint selection,
Mhm.
stuff like that. I'm still kind of working through like the guts because I don't want it to be too detailed, but I also don't want to be like very very general. So it's kind of tough to find like the sweet spot because it should be design focused, but it's like I also do want to talk about what makes eCash different than Bitcoin. I think that's important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we have sometimes we have these how it works pages, and then these
Yeah,
separate reference
that's what I
design and
copied.
design pages. Yeah.
yeah, we did that for the miniscript part as well because there's a technical aspect that you need to kind of understand or explain, and that sits in a yeah, exactly on this page in this how it works section. And then we have two reference designs for kind of that topic. One is the time-based recovery one, and one is the inheritance wallet that will come out in the next couple of weeks. So maybe you can tie it in like that as well, where you just cross-reference kind of this overview things and how it works, and then go into in one or two specific use cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is kind of how I've been working so far. Is I've just basically opened it up on Visual Studio and I've made copies of existing files to keep the formatting the same, and I edit the metadata and stuff like that. Like this page, I still haven't updated the copy, but yeah, I need to think about if I wanted to look kind of like the private key management page where there's sections that you can click on that go into more detail, or if at this stage maybe just one page is enough, just a single page, eCache, then overview section, best practices.
But it's the same also for you, Eric. Like sometimes we have, like Michael, I think what Michael did very early on is we had a reading session in the community where we all just read through the content together. But then that was once it was as a PR in the guide. So if you'd like to do that together, that's also an option to get it's almost
Yeah,
like,
that'd be great.
yeah, I mean, we can do that. Like just, we can do something like that. Everyone just jump on and read through the content with you. Yeah.
By the way, what's the best way to schedule one of these sessions? Just in the design guide channel, or because it's mostly the same people more or less attending these, so it's
It depends who you want to include. You can also open it up and say, I'm looking for more people who are not familiar with this to get some fresh eyes and review it or so. Or if you have someone who's really an expert on the specific topic that you're dealing with, then you can invite everyone. I think it's good to just open it up, see who shows up.
yeah.
Yep.
But just suggest the time and then see who shows up, or kind of, because if you want to include everybody, I mean, you have to schedule. Then you have kind of scheduling challenges sometimes.
So I would maybe if there's some specific people you really want to be part of it, maybe arrange it with them first, and make it like 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks in the future, and then set the time and make it public. So because if let's say I schedule a call for tomorrow, everyone has plans, right? It's not going to work. People will not just sporadically just kind of come in.
Exactly.
But if it's 1 or 2 weeks in the future, there's a higher chance there.
Yeah, so just those 1 or 2 people, reach out to them, ask them for their availability. If they say yes, then you can share in the public and then just say, hey, we're having a call on this and this date. Would you like to join? And don't be disappointed if not everyone raises their hands enthusiastically, because we all work on very sort of niche stuff. So, sometimes you raise your hand. That's part of being a grantee as well. You raise your hand and like, hey, I'm super excited about this niche thing I'm working on, and like, no one replies. It's okay. Don't worry, just carry on, do your thing. It's all good. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I wish the whole world would be excited about address poisoning attacks, but it's just not how it is.
Yeah.
We should be outraged about address poisoning and excited about the solutions to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So make it happen. Make it happen. And I'm excited for the. So sometimes with this categorization, 1 page, 2 page.